Hi everyone. It is time for a sit down chat. And I love these kind of videos because you can just pop it in your ears and go and do some weeding. So I encourage you to do that. I will tell you if I'm putting anything up on the screen other than my face, so you can know to look at your phone or to go back and look at it later. But otherwise, welcome. I've had a very weird morning. It's now afternoon, but this morning I woke up and there was a kid next to me because we're still trying to get James to sleep in his own bed. So Moroni's in with him, so I went to bed by myself. I wake up in the morning and there's a kid next to me, or somebody next to me, and I've realised it's a kid. And I'm thinking, when did that happen? And then I get up and I walk out, and then Dahlia says to me, Mum, what was all the screaming last night? And I'm like, what screaming? She goes, you and Shani were in there screaming. I'm like, no, we weren't. Anyways, then Shani gets up and I'm like, when did you come in? She goes, Mum, you told me to. I'm like, no, I didn't. And she goes, I went to the toilet. She said it was around midnight. I would have been asleep. I went to sleep as soon as I went to bed, like around 10:30, 10 o'clock, something like that. She goes, I walked past your room. She said, Mum, I walked past your room. You screamed and you said, I don't think I even really know what this was, but she goes, it sounded something like, ah, and she said, Mum, it was so loud. And she's thinking, what's this all about? So she walks into the room, she goes, Mum, are you okay? And I said, she said, I said it in a baby voice that I want her to sleep with me. So she just jumps into bed with me. So she's in bed with me because she thinks that I want her there. I have no idea she's there. And then apparently it was so loud that in the middle of the night, Dahlia heard it all because she couldn't get to sleep. Anyways, I don't know. Like, I hope I'm not going to suddenly become one of those people that does things in their sleep. But anyways, I feel like the day has continued along those lines. It's been a weird day. Anyways, let's get into this video. So the purpose of this is I just like to do a bit of a recap, and I could have done this as a live, but I kind of find live stressful. So this is the less stressful way to do a video. So what I'll do is I'll just cover a few things already, like overarching things, and then I'll answer some questions and then we'll finish. Okay, so overall, I think like an overall vibe at the moment is what is going on, and the answer is the floral industry is not doing too good in Australia, at least, or at least in this area. We still haven't opened up the website, and I actually don't think I will. We did go back to selling flowers up at the service station, but it hasn't gone very well. We've sold some, but not really. I'm basically picking up bunches that I can't sell. Like, I'm going and picking that. It's getting to the point where I'm picking up more than what I'm taking in. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of waste of time at the moment. And the lead up to Christmas and New Year, you would assume, in the past, it's been big sales. Like, I could go down there every couple of days and restock, but it hasn't. So it makes me think that it's still not happening. And when you look at the supermarkets, there's not a lot of, you know how they have the floral areas in the supermarkets? They've been very lean. And then when it looks like they do have a lot of stuff, it's a lot of long lasting stuff, you know, so they've got a bit smarter about it too. And things like potted plants and, you know, nicely wrapped plants and things like that is what I'm noticing. We also went into a really big market today, not a market, but like a grocery market. They've got a massive floral department and there was like nothing there. I mean, granted, it has just been Christmas and New Year and maybe they got completely sold out and they wouldn't have been able to get another flower delivery. But I just don't know. Like, I just know that in our area, almost all the florists have either sold, so the poor new people that bought it, they didn't realise what they were getting into. They've sold, they've downsized. So one of the major ones had to let all of her staff go. She's just operating alone now. And another one who just purchased one wasn't able to keep the staff. She had to just operate by herself. Or they've closed their doors. So the surrounding towns, they've either completely just closed or they've closed the shop front, like they don't have a shop front anymore and they're operating from home. So it's not a very good like scenario here at the moment. And right now the wholesalers closed. They close for like 3 weeks over Christmas and New Year. They'll open, I think it's somewhere around mid-January. And normally we are very, very busy this time of year because we're one of the very few florists that are still operating during this time because we've got the flowers. And I've had one call. So I sold one very large bouquet. It was like a $200 one. That was the 29th of December, and I've not had one inquiry since. I do need to put something else up on the website just to let people know that they need to call direct, but then I'm sort of like, I have actually really enjoyed not having orders come in, which I know when you've had that dream to have a florist business, that's a weird thing to say. But I just think it was a dream that slowly became not our dream, if that makes sense. And the thing I didn't like about it was you can never sort of plan your day, especially the way we were doing it, and we live out of town. So no matter what happened, it was always a long drive for a delivery. There was no such thing as just a quick delivery, unless I got one in Yack. But everybody in Yack knows they can ring us for flowers anyway. So that has kind of been good to not have that, because I'd be sort of going about my day, an order would come in, and I'd sort of have to drop everything and go and do the order. And it would end up costing me hours every day. It was just contributing to stress. So I'm not sad about it. I was very sad about having to close down the florist business when it happened, but I quickly sort of switched the way I'm thinking about it, thinking, this will turn into something good. And I think it has. It's actually freed me up. I've got more time with the kids. I'm less stressed. And I'll talk about this in a little minute because, hang on, I'm going to sneeze. I'll talk about this in a little minute about what I think the plan is going to be from here. But that's what's happened. Like the florist business, I've actually wondered, should I sell it? Which is a big step, and it means there's no going back. But I sort of think, we had a pretty good position on Google. I don't know where it is now. I don't think it would take too much to get it back up. It's a completely work from home business. I don't know how many people I've got on Instagram. Is it 2,000 or something? I could look. No, it doesn't matter anyway. So I feel like there's an asset there. And so I have thought, that could be an option maybe to sell the business, and somebody else could then build it up from here and run with it. But I don't have the energy for it, and I feel like I'm not in the best position to do it with young children and other things I want to do. Like I'm doing YouTube, I've got a massive garden, and I didn't like dropping everything to do last minute orders. So I guess that could work for somebody else. The things that I didn't like about it may not bother somebody else. I don't know. So kind of that's where I'm at. Okay, something I said I would talk about is the whole Dahlia situation. I think Dahlias are beautiful. I really love them. I figured out a way to make them last longer in a vase. If you haven't watched that video about, you can cut Dahlias. There's this, I guess you could say a false truth going around that you have to pick Dahlias when they're fully open, and it's not true. They will open, and I've actually had some varieties open from a bud. So it is possible you can get a much longer life out of them. And, so I do like their vase life. They don't store well in warm air, which wasn't working for us up at the service station. But in terms of, I feel like there's this hype around Dahlias where people are going crazy, and I just can't get into it. Like I just can't, for people that don't know, there's sought after Dahlias that people class as unicorns because they're hard to get. And I just feel like it's the most stressful practice to get on and just, keep clicking refresh until, the sale goes live, and then you got to get it in your cart, then you got to try and secure it before it leaves your cart. Like I just feel like that is 100% not my thing. And then you might have paid $40 for that tuber, and then it'll get to you, and then you've got to keep it alive and hope that you can produce more tubers from it for the next season, which is never a guarantee. It's a living thing. It can be quite difficult, especially when tubers are sold in autumn and you have to store a singular tuber all through winter, it just is so risky. And there's no guarantee it's viable or going to be viable by the time you're ready to plant it. I just can't get into it. So the whole hobby that some people have with dahlias, where they chase their unicorns, they build their collection, and you know, that I just never got into that. For me, it was just purely what works really well as a cut flower, what's going to produce really well, what holds well in a vase. That's what I want, and what colours are working. So in saying all that, I did have a bit of a collection going, and thank you to those who bought tubers from me and mystery packs and things like that. That may have been your last opportunity to do that from me. So that's a little something. And at the time I didn't know that, so I couldn't really announce it. It's not really something I wanted to announce because I didn't want to pressure sale people into buying them, because what if I do mystery packs again next year? But essentially what I've done is I've retired a whole heap of the collection, which means I sold off whatever I could sell off, and I've dumped the rest in the compost. Like, I've dumped hundreds of tubers, which I'm okay with. Like, I've well and truly made my money back on tubers that I purchased. And there's just some that I just didn't really want anymore. I didn't like them. You know, I didn't like the way that they performed. Not for me, not for cut flowers anyway. In a garden scenario, I think they're all beautiful. Like, they're so pretty. I've pretty much kept pinks and purples. That's it. And I've kept, is it Quinana? I can never say it. Gold. I'll put it up on the screen. Quinana gold. So pink show, something missed. What's it called? Forgot. It'll go up on the screen. Quinana gold. That's the only kind of warm color one other than my reds for Valentine's Day. Avalanche. Like, when you walk out into the field, I want it to look like a very, very pretty space, which is why I'm moving away from having just all rose out there as well. I want it to be like this Oasis. And I was sort of thinking, okay, when we think about color, there's a lot of flowers and things out there already that are yellows in the like warm tones, because you know, when vines and things are flowering, it's a yellow flower. A lot of fruits and vegetables are a yellow flower. The sunflowers are yellow. I don't need any yellow. Dahlias, the reds I've got just for Valentine's Day, which I'm going to miss this year anyway because I got them in late, but I will keep a collection of those for Valentine's Day. And I don't know, I just kind of feel like I always gravitate towards pastels. I love pastels, but I haven't really grown pastel flowers. I like bright colors, but I love pinks and purples and blues, white, like ironically the unicorn colors. So kind of that's what I'm keeping. So it is going to look a bit different, and I've scattered them around more. They're not just, you know, in rows of whatever I've got growing. They're sort of scattered around the garden. So I really can't wait for it all to sort of come into bloom and grow, and to see what this looks like. And then I can get a rough idea of how I plan the garden out for next year. Because it's changing so much, I kind of just got things in where I think it would work for this season. And then next season is going to be, I hope, fingers crossed if everything goes well this year, really, really big. I hope. If you've been following along, you'll know that this year was a rough year. We've actually had a rough few years, but this year for me, 2024 was rough, especially for health, because I had the burnout, I had a concussion. What else did I do? I busted my back a couple of times. It's busted at the moment, which I haven't even talked about in videos, because I just think, oh my goodness, like, you're going to think I'm falling apart. I might be, I don't know. There's just been a whole heap of things. Like, I'm actually starting to get a little bit worried about what's going on. Like, I feel like my immune system is not coping with whatever's going on. So I'm kind of falling apart. And I am 20 kilos overweight. And I can't seem to shift it. And I know that all that stress I was under the past 4 years has not helped. Lack of sleep, all that stress. So that's why I've really cut back on everything. I've had to reduce the stress for my health, and also for weight loss. I'm so sick of not being my old self, if that makes sense. And the sleep I'm working on. I'm not the best at sleeping, but I'm working on it. So I just feel like it's going to be a very slow process, but I'm working on it. And I kind of said to my doctor, I find it really hard to find a doctor in Australia too. It's very hard to find a good doctor. But one of the ones I was working with, he was kind of like, he actually said, do you want, what is it called again? That weight loss drug. Ozempic. I'm like, no. I said, I actually think my problem is like it's a metabolic problem, but I said, that's not going to fix it. If anything, it might make it worse. So we're working on that. So I do think there's a whole mangled, intertwined web of issues with my health, and I just need to unpack them slowly and start turning them all around. So I'm working on that. One thing I did do, I found this girl, and she does this massage. It was called shiatsu crossed with, what was it called? I have to put it on the screen, can't remember. Shiatsu with something else. It was a very interesting massage. Like, it was good. She had this really big mat. I just knew when I saw her post, I was like, that's who I have to go and see, you know, when you just know something. So I was excited, and it was really good. But it basically, rather than just like traditional massage, you were on a mat and she moved your body around, and she applied deep pressure to different parts of your body and sort of stretching and stuff like that. It was very good, but I knew sort of halfway through this massage, I'm like, I am going to feel so sick after this for days, because it's moving all the lymphatic fluids. And I know from the past, like just with Bowen therapy, my body freaks out and I'm just like, oh no. And I was sick for about 4 days after that massage. But even though I felt so crook and so exhausted and so unwell, I was like, I feel like this is what I need. Like, it's actually moving things. So I've started doing like lymphatic drainage. I'll go back to her. Probably go to her maybe once a month. It was 75 minutes, I think. So just over an hour, maybe an hour of the massage, maybe a bit less of massage. And it was $120, I think it was, which I know sounds like a lot, but I kind of feel like for what I got, it was pretty good. Like, I'm happy with that. But that's why I'm only doing it. If I can do it once a month, I'll be happy, because I just have this feeling there's something about that massage and what she was doing that's going to help me. And I can't explain it. I don't really know why, but I just have that gut feeling that I need to go back and persist with this. And I'm also going to a naturopath. So I am working on it. It's going to be a slow process, but it has meant that everything I've wanted to do this past year has had to slow down, and I haven't been able to get there, including getting the garden. We would normally have an abundant garden right now, and it's not. It's in the early stages of trying to get going. So I'm trying not to get hung up on that or upset, because I can't do anything about it. It is what it is. And I just can't push myself. And my whole life I've pushed myself because I love doing stuff. I don't like sitting down. I like to just keep moving. And I mean, the worst job I ever had was in a dress shop, because there was nothing to do. It was so boring. Like, I remember I think I was 19 or something, or 18. I wanted to cry some days. It was so bad. So boring. I'm not good with not doing things. So I just really hope to get my health back. I'm hoping by the end of 2025 that we can be there with that. That would be amazing. One of the things we were just talking about that I think might help for this year is we've been talking about me getting a laptop. The reason I haven't just gone and got one is because it's very expensive. The one I want, well, the one I need, because I need to be able to run Photoshop, Lightroom, and I need to be able to run the Adobe products on it and Adobe Premiere. So it uses a lot of space on it. My own computer can slow down when it's freaking out about these programs. So, like the big computer. So the reason I haven't done it is because the one that I need is about $3,500. So it's not, I can't just go out and buy like a cheaper laptop. So this is the Apple one, I think it was a MacBook Pro. Anyway, we're looking into it. Anyway, we have just, I think, decided today that it might be better for me to just do it, because I am so, like, my life revolves around the kids essentially, and next year James goes to school, so during the daytime I'll have time to do things. But as soon as sort of school's close to finishing, it's game over. Like, I'm sitting around at sport, I'm sitting around at all the things the kids need to do. And sometimes, like especially for netball, but Malia's not doing that this season, I would just sit in my car because it's freezing cold and they're just training. Like, there's no point me really watching them just train. which I could, but I don't. So I just thought if I had a laptop, I could be getting work done. And especially with photography, when I go away for a job, there's been times where I've gone away for a job and because I don't have a laptop, I think, like, I'm in the motel at night thinking, oh, I could be getting this job finished. Like, I could be sitting here editing, go home and it's done. And I can't do it. So anyway, I think that could be life-changing, even sitting outside while James is playing. Because sometimes he just needs supervision. Like, the property's too big to just sort of let him wander around by himself. And sort of, you know, he's a bit young to really understand the whole snake awareness thing and stuff like that. Like, I just need to be in the area where I've got eyeballs on him or I can get to him quickly. I could have a laptop with me and I could be sitting on a little table outside and I could just be sort of pottering around on my work online, which would be really good. So that has been something that I feel like has held me back a little bit, which is interesting, but I think we're going to just bite the bullet. So next year, a lot of things will change. If I get the laptop, I'll be able to work on the go, which is going to be, I think it's actually going to be game changing. And if I'm feeling unwell, because when I've felt unwell this year, I haven't been able to sit at the computer. It's made me feel unwell sitting at the computer. I can sit on my nice recliner and do some, you know, work on the computer. I think that would be, I feel like that could be luxury. I feel like I'm growing up. Like, I'm moving into the comfort era of life and it's so good. Why don't we do this in our 20s? Like, get ourselves a recliner. Why don't we do that? Anyway, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I think we're going to bite the bullet and do it. And then all the kids will be at school next year and they'll be at 2 different schools rather than 3 different schools, because 3 kids at 3 different schools last year was just a mind bender. Like, the amount of emails that I would get was just next level. So it's going to be good. 3 kids at 2 schools now. That's a bit better. Okay, something else this past year that I was really excited about, and it kind of didn't work out at all. But I had this really cool idea for a collaboration video with flower farmers, and I sent out emails. I think I sent out emails to 12 different other creators, you know, ranging from small to big. The 2 creators that were a bit smaller that I was going to contact, I know they would have said yes. So I wanted to sort of secure some other people, make sure the video was going to happen and then pull them in as well. So, but absolutely nobody replied to me. And it was a bit of a little bit of a kick in the face, it felt like. Like, it almost feels a little bit like I don't know if there's a community of gardeners and flower farmers and stuff that exist, or does everybody not talk to each other? I don't know. But it's actually almost a little bit lonely. And I found it in photography too. Photography wasn't a friendly scene to be a part of because everybody's competing against each other. And in the end, I just kind of went off and did my own thing and stopped trying to be a part of a community for that, which is what I think is happening with this too. Like, it would be amazing to have some friends that are further ahead in the journey, especially with content creation, because I feel like after 4 years I've proved myself that I'm doing this, you know, like I might have a small following, but I've been very consistent. Like, I'm obviously in this and I'm not going to be wasting people's time, do you know what I mean? But nobody wants to share their time. Anyway, this was a collaboration video. It was going to be so cool. I wonder if I should tell yous. I'll tell you. Then if it comes out, so you'll see someone stole the idea. But it was, have you seen what are the videos? I think it's the channel's Vice, I don't know now, where they answer questions from the honesty box or something like that. And anyway, it's a professional that answers, you know, a set of questions and you get to know about that profession. But my idea was, you know, however many flower farmers I could get, I was hoping at least 8. We have a list of questions and we all answer the same question. And because we're at different, we're at different years of farming, different experience, it would have been a really cool overview of where things are at. Like, I think it could have been so interesting to hear from, you know, 8 different people, really big creators, down to, you know, people that are just starting, It would have been so cool to get those perspectives. But anyways, it didn't work out because I am kind of stunned that absolutely nobody replied. The one really big creator, I just want to preface this, one really huge creator that I didn't contact is Florist, and you will find out in a few months why I didn't contact them. I think they would have said yes. Like, I actually think that if this thing had have come together and there was people, and I could say, you know, we've got, you know, 8 other creators that are going to be a part of this, I actually think they would have said yes. So Florist and then 2 smaller creators that I know would have said yes. I kind of already mentioned it to them. Yeah, it kind of made me feel a little bit sad, actually. Like, it does make me think, I know we're building a community here, and I feel like I've got the nicest community. Like, yous are the nicest people to make videos for. So supportive, so like uplifting and kind, and I love it when you share your comments on videos that you have been inspired, because that's the whole point. Like, I want to inspire people to go out and garden and enjoy growing things, even if it's on a small scale. Like, I know that not everybody has land like we do, but even if you get joy out of looking after pot plants or house plants, like if or to go and weed, like if I've inspired people to get out and get the weeds out of their garden, that's awesome. So I feel like I'm building a community that is absolutely amazing. I feel very blessed. But then I think about, in terms of myself as a creator, I can't fit into a community. I don't actually even know if there is one to fit into. And it's very, very hard. So YouTube can be kind of a lonely journey, because when you first start out, you've got lots of questions because you don't know. And there's nobody to ask because nobody wants to give you any time because you're so small. That's how it kind of feels. Whereas now, 4 years in, I kind of feel like at this stage, just don't stress. Like, literally, I think I'm just going to just do whatever I want to do. You know, put videos out there. Which brings me to the next topic. So I've put a couple of videos out, I think they were all in December, that were really, like, I feel like nice. I feel pretty proud of them. So there was the to-do list, which was very storyline oriented. And it was, I feel like that was a really cool video. I don't know if you've seen it yet. If you haven't, go and watch it and let me know. And then the second one that I put out was the 5-year farm recap. And I tell you, the video took so long. It was like 2 weeks. It took me 4 full days just to go through all the footage I've got. And I didn't even watch it all properly. I was like scrubbing through clips, 4 years worth of clips, to find the clips that I wanted. Like, it took so long, and then I had to put it all together. Like, it was a very, very involved process. And I was kind of doing it thinking, oh my goodness, I hate this. Like, I hate making videos, which I don't actually really like it. Once I got it all kind of rough cut in, and then I could kind of make it really cool. I liked it, but I did not like having to find all those clips and then piece it all. Anyway, process is done. It's a really nice video too. So I would be interested to know, what did you think of those videos that took a bit more time? There was a bit of a story to them. I'm hoping they were the type of video that you love to just sit back and relax a little bit too and have an experience. And it's all centered around gardening. Like, that's what I'm hoping. So then I've wondered to myself, what do I want to do? Like, with the videos that I'm making, what exactly do I want to do? And I've wondered, even, you know, things are changing now with James starting school. Do I want to put a video out every day, like how Garden Answer do, or how Dig, Plant, Water, Repeat? And then I'm like, I don't think I want to do that. I don't think I want to commit to so much content like that, because I feel like once you start that, you're in it. And I'm trying to make my life easier, not harder. And there would be a period of time while I had to wait for it to build before I could pay an editor. And then, is that editor going to continue on with the essence that I put into the videos? So I feel like that is a very dicey decision to make, which I don't want to do it. I've just decided. The other side of it is, if I did a daily video, the quality is going to drop. It's not going to be... I look at each video I make, I want them to be like a bit of a project and something, a creation that's come together. I really like doing that. I love, you know, putting the music in the right places and having a lot of B-roll, and I like it to feel a bit more like an experience rather than just a garden vlog, if that makes sense. Even though I watch other people's garden vlogs, I really like them. And I think it's because I've been an artist my whole life. This isn't just me sharing gardening and making money. This is me creating an artwork every time I put a video out. That's kind of where I've come to, and I really like that. But I am curious to hear what your thoughts are on that. I still plan to do like the weekly, you know, the weekend video, put a video out at least every week. And the how-to videos, you know, when I've got something to teach you, to specifically put that in a video. And the reason that helps to, I'm hoping on the channel, it'll help me grow the channel because they're searchable. It's searchable content. Whereas the Saturday videos aren't as searchable because there's so much in a video. It's more so I have to just hope people come across me and watch it and enjoy it and want to keep watching more, you know. So I don't know, like if any of you out there are experts and you've got something to tell me, please let me know. And if you don't want to put it in the comments, you can send me a message on Instagram or send it to the Phaedra Garden S1 though, or send me an email. And the email address is, I'll put on the screen because I don't even know my own email address. That's handy. Yeah, so that's where we're at. I think I'll just keep doing what I've been doing for now. The other thing is I've got to think about not putting extra stress on myself when I haven't fully healed from the burnout. And yeah, like as much as I want to just plow forward with things, I have to stop myself a little bit. So now I'll go through some questions. I didn't get many questions. I don't know whether you've not got questions or, I mean, I pretty much answer them as we go along anyway. I reply to pretty much every comment I get on YouTube, which, you know, down the track I may not be able to do, but I have been for now. But we've got a question from Christy Franklin Homestead. What exactly does next year look like for you with the farm, noble flowers, etc.? Which I think I've pretty much answered. But thank you for this question. I could have started with this question. Yeah, the florist business, I can't see it reopening. I'm still operating, I'll still make bouquets for people, but it's pretty much just people that already know, and they'll call me up and book it in. So I think that might be how I operate. I'm not even sure if I still do the servo or not. The bugger with that was it was really good money when it was working. So if it can still work, I hopefully can still do it, but it's not looking good. So that's noble flowers. With the garden, okay, specifically for this coming year, I've got those big dreams like of turning plot 1 into that Hobbit sort of feel, the Hobbit garden, let's call it. And I've got to get fencing up. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be done to get the field to where I really want it, where I feel like, does anybody watch Hugh Richards or Gaz Oakley? And their gardens are like this beautiful filming space. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm working on. And for me, a photography space, like where I can bring clients or potentially even rent it out to other photographers. I'm not sure about that yet, but it could be an option on the cards. So for me, the focus out there is to make it beautiful and to have this beautiful filming and teaching space. Because I actually really like teaching. But to be realistic, 2025 season, which will end around May because we have winter in the middle of the year, and then it'll start, season 6 will start in around October-ish. So we don't have that much left of this. We've got, 4 or 5 months left of this season. Number one, just keep everything alive, like try and keep on top of the weeds, keep it all alive, keep things growing. I would like to get some of the infrastructure projects done out there. I'd like to get the entry done to the field. I'd like to get the fencing on because I really need to get that on. I'd like to get irrigation in. And then I'd like to start building some of the height structures out there. Like there's a pergola I want to build. I really need a tractor because I want to build the hill that goes behind the field. I don't see myself getting all of this done this season. I actually don't see myself getting it done this year unless things dramatically change. So I think for the rest of this year, it'll probably be just slow progress on things. A couple of you asked about the bushfires and if we're safe and if it's near us, and I don't think I've answered that question, so I'll answer it here. We are nowhere near the bushfires. They're in another state. It would be maybe a 10-hour drive, 10 to 12-hour drive from where we are. So it's a fair way away. However, this season has been very dry and hot, and we haven't had very much rain. So everything is ready to just burst into flames, basically. So we are a little bit more on edge this summer than we have been. We haven't got our emergency packs packed, which is silly. We need to have them packed, but basically we have emergency bag in the car and one at the house. So if we've got a flea, because sometimes you will get almost no warning, you get 10 minutes and you've got to go. When you get evacuated, sometimes it can be very quick. And in some places, a fire truck will come to the property and make sure you're leaving. So, and that's happened, I know that happened in Tasmania a few years ago when they had their fires. So sometimes you can only grab what you can grab, and we have also been in town already and fire broke out here and we were evacuated while we were in town. So we actually couldn't get back to the house, but we already had our pack in the bag and our bag in the car. And what we put in that is just essential things like some emergency stuff, but also a change of clothes each, a toilet bag, just enough that if we have to, like, you know, we can get changed into our other outfit, wash this outfit, and we can survive, you know, if we had to for, I don't know, a few days or a week or whatever, just making do. And we have had to use that in the past. And it's pretty awful because when you've got bushfire around, not only are you getting displaced, like you've got to leave your property, the other thing that happens is there's just so much smoke in the air and it's awful, like it's so hard to breathe. And when I did the studio, I actually made that studio airtight, which I don't usually like. I know that that's one of the standards for building now, to make homes airtight because it's a better efficiency for heating and cooling. I don't like that because I feel like your house can't breathe, but I did make that studio airtight because it's a place that if we've got a lot of smoke around and we're not evacuated, because the smoke from those fires in South Australia did actually come over here the other day and we could smell smoke. But if it gets really, really bad, we've got that room that we can all stay in, and it's got we've got a big air purifier out there so we can try and clean the air so we can actually sleep. Because years ago when we got evacuated and then we did come home, the smoke was in the air for a couple of weeks and it was awful. It makes you feel so sick. And you couldn't buy an air purifier because of course everybody had gone in, they were all sold out. So we've that's if we can stay on the property, that's the backup. And we've always got extra food and stuff. Being Latter-day Saint, that's a thing, we store food. So we've got food storage, but we've also got plenty of water because we've got the tanks, we've got the concrete tank which won't burn. In a fire, the pipes will, but we can shut everything off so that the water can't get out of that tank. It's got like the metal fittings and everything on it. So that, it could get contaminated, but we've got water filters and things. So if we get stuck here for a while and we kind of can't get out, we're okay. But our property, I had it assessed years ago, it is not a safe place to be in a fire because, I mean, as you've seen on the videos, there's trees everywhere, very tall trees. And if you're not aware, one of the reasons Australia burns so badly in bushfires is our gum trees, and they can actually explode. Like they're because they've got the oil, like the vapors on a really hot day. Sometimes you can look at the gum trees and it's a bit hazy. It's the vapors evaporating out of the leaves and the oils and things. They go up in flames like you wouldn't believe. And we've got them very close to the house, and our house isn't fireproof. There's too many gaps and things where embers can get in. So we have to leave. We can't stay here. We can't stay here and have a reliable safety plan if there's fire around. So we like living here. We like the trees and stuff. We hope it never happens, but we live here knowing that fire could come through and we just lose it all. Like, we know that that's a possibility, and we just really hope it just doesn't ever happen. Another question from Susan Hamilton. Are you considering experience wellness therapy or photography sessions for the plot redesigns? All the plans of late seem to make me think it might be something you're considering, even if subconsciously. I don't have any concrete plans in place. I've always had it in my head that I want the space to be a beautiful place to take photos. And I feel a little bit sad that I'm moving some of these rows, because this is, I'll put up on the screen, one of my most favorite photos of the farm. And it's ironic because there's no flowers or plants. It's just rows, and it was so cold and frosty, and the rows were so neat and tidy. I loved it. So I feel happy, like I've got that nice memory of how it looks at its best. But I just want it to be an Oasis, and I definitely do have it in mind that I want it to look really good on camera, and I want it to be good for me to take photos in. And I have thought about potentially allowing other people to come and take photos. I'm not sure about that exactly. I know what photographers can be like. So I'm not sure if I want that. I don't teach yoga or anything. If I taught yoga and did all that, maybe it would be so cool. Like, I do have ideas to do really big fire pit area, big decking area. I haven't talked about any of that in videos because it's so far into the future that I don't know when it would happen. I have slightly thought on the therapy thing, but I haven't thought about it enough to figure out what that would look like. But I mean, plants are therapy, being in a garden's therapy, and I have thought, just very slightly, what could I do to open this up to people who need it to heal? You know, what would that look like? So yeah, that's where that's at. I have a question from Palmer Pat, which I probably need to reply to them as well. I don't know if they'll watch this, but what's my succession planting between Feverfew and Matricaria look like? Basically, what I would normally do if I'm growing it, you know, for high production cut flowers, is when you plant, I start it from cuttings rather than seed now. So I've got my cuttings growing. I plant the cuttings in the ground. Once they start to take off in the ground, I'll take cuttings and start the next round of cuttings, because I kind of feel like, for me, Feverfew is almost like a one cut thing. Like, once you've cut the heads off what's there, it takes too long for it to regrow and get a second cut from those plants. Okay, last question, and it's about profitability on the farm. And it's just a question that gets asked, not frequently, but over and over, around, are we profitable? So yes, we were, and we were profitable for 4 years, and it supported a family of 5 for 4 years. But sort of by, when did it happen? I reckon by sort of March 2024, it just absolutely crashed, for us at least. But I had felt that it was going to happen anyway, because I'd started to see other florists closing down or changing the way that they were operating. I'd started to notice the flowers at the wholesaler were, there was less and less in there, and I started to think, okay, things are going bad, people are buying less flowers. But it actually really didn't hit us until we'd been to Mexico and we came back. Like, we took that break from selling and we came back to pretty much nothing. And so at that point, we were no longer profitable. And I didn't have the energy to push and push and push and push against the economy, because if people don't have money to buy flowers, I can't see a way that I could make them do that, and I didn't want to because people were so broke. So we are no longer profitable with the flowers, and I'm okay with that, and I'm not trying to be profitable anymore. We feel so proud of ourselves that we did it, because we took such a big risk and quit our jobs and just lived off flowers. And everybody would say that was so silly to do that, but we just knew that we'd make it work. We also knew that while we were still working, we had that as a backup. We weren't going to go all in. Why would we need to put everything we had into this venture? So we also knew by quitting everything, we had to make it work, and it did. And so we were profitable. I feel like it's been such a cool experience because now I can talk about that, and I feel like that's such a big achievement to have made a living off flowers. I never would have imagined it. I think it's really cool. We're happy with it. It's okay that now it's not. We feel fine about that too. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. Okay, let's end things here. I was trying not to make this too long. I've kept it under an hour, which is perfect. I might do a live soon if anybody's interested in that, where you can sort of ask your questions live. It would most likely be a Saturday morning my time, so that's normally a Friday night in the US, and I don't know what else it is anywhere else in the world. So let me know if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.